Live, okay. Well, we were calling the meeting to order. Welcome, everybody. Good to see everybody. Not that we don't see a lot of each other now. That busy time, that's for sure. So, and we're fortunate today that we did not know that Chuck DeCoste, one of our selectmen, was going to be visiting us, but he just meandered on in because he loves us and he's interested. So, but he has a conflicting, he needs to leave, he can't stay very long. So, the first item that we have down is feedback from the selectmen's meeting this past Monday, but Chuck wasn't even there that night, so he can't give us the feedback. So unfortunately, he was not feeling well. But perhaps maybe Alan was there, Barbara McCrae was there, I was there, Liz was there, so Sharon was there, there
I
were,
watched on TV.
and David, he was homesick, but he watched it. I give him a lot of credit for even watching it.
I watched it too.
So
Is Chuck gonna go first, or?
I'm gonna let Chuck go first, but I just was explaining kind of why I wasn't asking him to do the feedback from that meeting, so didn't want to put him on the spot. But we welcome any comments, and we're glad you're here, because we know that you're interested in this topic of, you know, the needs of more space for the seniors, so.
And I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys getting together. This is great to see continuing to carry the ball and move the senior center forward. It is definitely something that is a priority for the Board of Selectmen. Certainly a priority for me as a member of the Board of Selectmen. I've made
Chuck,
comments-
could you come up closer? I can't hear you. That's fine.
Okay. It is finding space for the seniors and creating or building a senior center is a priority for the Board of Selectmen. I take it personally as a priority of mine. I've committed to any number of you, and to others in the community, to see this through. And I will continue to do that and lock arms with all of you and do what it takes to get a senior center for Littleton. I'm happy to answer any questions. I do, to Marge's point, I do have a family commitment, but I wanted to at least let you all know that Board of Selectmen absolutely feels that this is a priority for us, as a community. And if any of you all have questions, I'm happy to catch rocks or answer questions. But if you've got for me, I was unable to make the meeting on Monday. Like David, I did watch it on television. I thought Cindy did a good job of presenting what the options are that are before us. We are, the Space Needs Working Group is meeting this week to interview. We had 4 respondents to our request for qualifications. We're going to interview them this week and next week, I don't know what day of the week it is. On Wednesday of next week, we're going to interview all 4 applicants and
The 20th.
thank you. And you know, try to figure out which one we want to move forward with. And from there, that firm will, as I've said in the past, quantify a lot of the information that we got from the last Space Needs, the report that we got from Alan Lee of Architects. So we not only would quantify that, we're going to task them with doing some level of schematic to show us what options lie before us. One of the directions that we're going to give to whoever it is that we contract is, okay, we have the space at 255 Great Road. Given a space like that, what would it take for us to make that what we want, based upon what much of the information that Liz, Patty, any number of you have given to me personally and to the Board of Selectmen as a whole. We want to make sure that that's incorporated. And those, you certainly had some concerns which opened my eyes. You know, I was ready to have the town write a check for X number of dollars just in case John McLaughlin's watching the rail. And it's not that easy to do, and
Keep your checkbook out.
yeah.
Yes, please.
We're getting answers. We're getting the answers we need.
Okay, good.
I just wanted to double check on, so the schematic design, that means they're going to be looking at the inside and the square footage and working all that out for us?
They've been given all of the design information, all the as-built information that we already have. And they absolutely have, I've opened up to Kevin that if any one of them prior to the meeting on Wednesday wants to get into the building to see it, we're absolutely willing to do that. I will say, just kind of as throw a caveat out there, Mass General Law requires municipalities to, if we decide that 255 Gray Road, otherwise known as the DCU building, is the space that we really want to focus on, we have to write a request for proposal or either an RFP, an IFP or an RFP in order to solicit proposals that meet our specific needs. Now, we get to write that, so if 255 Gray Road is in fact the property that we want, we need to be as creative as possible to write that proposal, the request, so that that's the building that comes back to us. If we have 3 different submissions for that request, and I'm just throwing a number out there, 500 King Street comes back, and that's the lowest proposal that comes back to us, we're tied into 500 King Street if we choose to move forward, not 255 Great Road. We can work through that, I think, and we can be pretty specific
Is there a date line on that?
on when we would put that request out. I'd be lying if I said yes. I mean, there's certainly timelines. We want to try to do something to at least request funding at May's town meeting, to earmark money, not necessarily have gotten this whole process through. We want to at least have money to purchase, I'll say a building, not the building.
Right.
By town meeting, we want to have the funds to be able to purchase a building that's in the vicinity of $2 to $3 million.
Marge, through you to Chuck. Do you know if the way that the interviewing process is going will allow it to go on the warrant? I mean, do we have enough time to make sure that it actually gets on the warrant for the town meeting?
What exactly are you asking to go on the warrant?
He's talking about that building? He just said, explained.
No,
He
no,
just
no.
explained that.
The money.
Oh, the money piece of it, absolutely. Yeah, we've
Yeah.
got time for that. As far as if we wanted to get an architect and an engineer to give us schematic design and go to town meeting with a specific
That information.
design, the timeline doesn't look doable by May 6th. To be able to go forward with an RFP and go through all the boxes and the hurdles that we'd have to go over. But the funding we certainly can do for May town meeting. Does that answer your question, Maureen?
Yes.
Okay.
Are you talking about the DCU building? What if it's taken off the market by the time that you do that?
Or a building.
A building.
And, okay.
Yeah, so it would be we would have to write the request for proposal just because we're a municipality.
Good.
We can't just put an offer on
Okay,
the DCU building, to your point there.
okay.
I have a question. So I'm making an assumption, but I just want to verify it, that, I understand what you're saying. You're looking for the funding, and because getting the nuts and bolts of details worked out is going to take more time once an architect is on board, right?
Right.
I would make an assumption, though, that architect will make contact with Liz about the nuts and bolts.
Absolutely.
Okay, I just want to make sure it's working that way, so.
Yeah.
And the friends too, but, people in general, but as the director, certainly start there and then,
In all likelihood, it would follow a process similar to, the fire station went through their process, when the library trustees went through their process to find out what needs our alumni feel. We had
Right.
many open meetings and allowed people to say.
I was gonna say,
"Oh, we'd
yeah.
like to have this, we'd like to have that. and
Great.
We'd make sure that we're meeting the needs of the community. It's not something that, Chuck the Post thinks that it should be this way and we're going to go that way.
right, no, I just wanted to, I assumed that, but I wanted to make sure I was right and that the word, that's the process that is used, so, good,
Sounds good.
yeah. That's really, it's still exciting,
Absolutely.
even though there's hoops to get through, I think, but I still find it very exciting, so,
Yeah, we've got some pretty good hoop jumpers, so.
good. We need them, so.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jack.
Thank you all.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
you all.
thank you. But don't feel you have to leave, just because
Appreciate
we
it.
let you
I might-
speak
I might
first.
wait to see what Alan has to say.
Well, that's good.
Thank you all.
Alan always has a lot of information,
Yeah.
so. All right,
I would say definitely at the selectmen's meeting, we could definitely feel the support coming from the front table. So that was good to hear.
Yeah.
Did you feel it coming from Newtown Road as well?
I thought I felt something, yeah.
All right. Any other questions for Chuck? While we have him as a captive audience here, right?
One question would be, no grants would be applied until more foundation was done, right? For the money and location.
There are no
and-
grants, Mary.
Yeah,
I don't know of any grants that would be available, Mary. If you know of any, please let us know sooner than later, so that we can put whatever
it's
resources
gotta
we need
go
to on
in,
it.
yeah.
But the grant process isn't necessarily expeditious.
Yeah.
Many of them are announced in the September timeframe, and they have to be in by May, June. So, but I'm not aware of any that are available for us to be able to take advantage of.
Unfortunately, there aren't any for senior centers, quote, type of structures that we've heard about, and we've looked too, and asked, yeah. Doesn't seem fair, but it's the way it is. Or you, if there is something, some way to finagle, we found, Noreen, I think, thought she found one, but then the town of Littleton wouldn't qualify for whatever she found, so,
Population, demographics.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different.
criteria.
Right, no, it had something to do with the fact that the building was being leased, and the fact that there were people in there being,
The tenants,
right,
okay. It would have to be wholly occupied by the town,
is what I was told.
okay.
So, it's complex, that's for sure. Very complex. So. Yes, Alan, we're getting something from Alan now.
Just a clarification. This requirement that if the town wants to buy a specific building, it cannot do so, but has to put out an RFP outlining what we want, and anybody can offer a building, and if they're the lowest price, we have to do that? I wasn't aware of that.
So
It's,
And we've been talking about this now with lots of people in town for 2 months or more, and why is this coming up just now?
I don't know why it's coming up just now. It's, I'll take as much of the blame, I guess, as anyone, but I wasn't aware that that's how it had to go down. I wasn't aware that we had to, in fact, go with the lowest bid, but that it's similar to any other bid if we were going out to bid to buy a fire truck or any other piece of capital.
No, I understand.
Just-
You don't take blame, because I delved into this with everybody in
Right.
the world around here, and it never came up, and so that's why it was a surprise.
So Anthony I became aware of it at our last joint meeting, FinCom, School Committee, and Board of Selectmen. Anthony stated, chapter 30, I think it is, Mass General Laws, procurement laws require us to do an IFP or an RFP. And I believe the town of Acton, when they went for their senior center, put out, as you could probably correct me, I'm not sure if it was an IFP or an RFP.
I think R,
R.
yeah.
And they wrote a very specific RFP because they had a building that they were very much interested
Well,
in.
I assume we would do the same.
We absolutely would do the same. What happened in Acton, however, is the building that they wrote the RFP for wasn't the proposal that they had to take, because there was another building that trumped that building, if you will, and so they ended up buying the other building. I think it's worked out famously
Yeah.
for them, and it worked out well.
Beautiful building, yeah.
And so if we can be as specific as possible on our RFP, even if it's not 255 Great Road, but it does meet, location and space and accessibility, as long as it meets all those criteria, and it'll afford us the opportunity to buy a building.
Yeah, Chuck, can you specify in that bid, when you're setting up how you want it, can you specify geographical location?
I believe we can, based
Like
upon
within 500 feet of Littleton Common, has to be?
something like that, yeah.
Okay,
I believe, yeah.
I think you can. I
I'm
think-
pretty sure you can.
Yeah,
all right.
Walkability, and, there's different criteria that you can put in there. I think that is one of the ways that we all know what buildings are around there.
Right.
I don't know of a building in that area. Somebody mentioned the building that's on the IBM property, but I don't even think that has the square footage that would accommodate the senior center.
Oh, you mean that house?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Unless like CBS decided to move out of town and that property was vacated, and maybe that would meet the criteria. I'm not,
Right,
I don't know of any buildings in that, like you said, 500 feet of the common,
right.
that would meet the criteria.
I can't think of any.
But it can be that specific. When you're creating this RFP, it can be specific almost to the point where that would be the only building that would meet that criteria.
That's my understanding,
So
but we'll have to look into it.
we can't be too cute by a half, though. There are, it's kind of like an antitrust law, where if we're too cute and it's blatantly obvious that we're
Targeting one
pointing
building.
directly at one building, then we have to be careful of that, because somebody else that may have a building, say on Porter Road, they may cry foul and say, my building meets all the criteria with the exception.
You're discriminating.
We need to, it's just like if we don't have zoning for a certain type of use, the lack of zoning allows for that type of use to be placed anywhere.
Yeah. And of course, this would only include buildings that are for sale. I mean, somebody who owns a building who, couldn't just jump up and say, oh, my building, I'll clear out and you guys buy the building. He couldn't say that, right? Because it's not for sale?
And
Follow what
we
I'm
know that
saying?
that's the case, and as long as they have the property and it's deeded to them and they are able to sell the building to the town, I don't think we can dictate that it has to be currently on the market or anything like that.
That's odd.
I'm learning as I go here
Yeah,
as well, David.
all right.
Alan's question, I wish I had that answer 2 months ago,
Yeah.
but,
Okay.
and the other question I've asked, you brought up, as far as leases and things like that are concerned, we can go out for an RFP to lease a property. If somebody did in fact buy the property between now, the 255 Great Road, the DCU building, between now and when we're able to get over all these hurdles and jump through these hoops, maybe we could strike a deal with them, because they're not ready to do anything until sewer's done or something like that. Maybe we could strike up a lease that would give us a space and allow us to continue to look for a more permanent space. So there's a process that we have to follow, different than the purchase for a leased property, similar but different, because it's a lease.
Wouldn't you anticipate that if the sewer project goes through, which hopefully it does, I guess, because it's something that the town has, supported, that would increase the value of the property?
By all means.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about too. I mean, I would think it would increase the value, yes. So, yep. There's lots of unknowns still, unfortunately, but,
But I would love, if we were able to do something more quickly by somebody else owning the building, and we wouldn't have to do the build-out at prevailing wage, and somebody else would lease it to us, that might be the quickest way for us to get into that particular building, for instance.
do we
But
have
still-
anyone in town?
I was
that
just gonna say, does anyone in town have that extra $2 million to purchase it that you're willing to lease it to the town?
They might look at it from a
Who
perspective,
owns it, anyway?
investment
The
point of
bank?
view, where I can be
Yeah.
a good corporate citizen and do this. And
Has 2 million.
Who actually owns the building now?
it's a real estate trust. John McLaughlin, the realtor, is their voice, essentially. I'm not sure if he has power of attorney or not, but I have met one of the owners on one occasion, and they simply bought it from DCU as an investment. They're not Littleton residents.
How much is in our savings?
Not 2 million, honey.
Well, we have a large group here, $10
Hey.
per person.
Bake sale.
Hey, the Friends do a great job raising money. The Friends do a great job raising money, so anything, they can do anything. I really believe that, so.
One of the things that, I think a lot of communities are great, but one of the things that I love about Littleton and makes Littleton unique in my opinion, is so many people do volunteer for so many different things, whether it's Friends of the Council on Aging, Friends of the Library, the boosters. There's just so much that goes on from a voluntary basis and from a fundraising basis that gets stuff done at Littleton. It's really, I find it unique, and it's humbling to see how much people are wanting to give of their time and of their resources. I'm not sure somebody's going to buy a building for us with $2 million, but
Well, we can dream.
Yeah. Did you read George Sanders' letter to the editor? He said maybe someday someone will leave money in their will to buy us a building.
I'm channeling my inner George Sanders, see that?
Oh, no, I haven't seen that, but it must be this, is that this week's paper?
I just saw it last night
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
online.
Thank you very much, Chuck.
yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? That was very informative, very helpful. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah.
How can I yell at him?
Yeah. Does it have to do with cricket land?
Nothing in particular.
If any of you do want to yell at me, by all means, my email's out there. Feel free.
And I have a cell phone number for $1.
I think that's out there everywhere too, Nancy, but thank you. If you can,
I'll put it towards the
I was gonna
purchase of
say,
the
if you can
building.
put half of that back towards the fundraising effort.
All right.
All right.
Well, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank
Have a
you.
great day.
Have a good weekend. It's a long weekend too,
It was a
right?
long weekend.
Yeah, long weekend for people, so. All right, I think we've covered item A under old business, feedback from the selectmen's meeting. And, update from the COA board, and I put that,
Do we have to approve the minutes from before?
oh, I skipped right over that, didn't I? Thank you, David. See, I have
Good
help
for
all the
something.
time, and it's a good thing, because I need it, so. David just reminded me that we hadn't approved the minutes from our February 1st meeting, which are in your packets, and I hope you all read them before you came. I tried to get them out as soon as I, within a reasonable time. I usually wait
Bless you.
till a couple of days before a meeting, because I don't want you to forget about it, and that way it serves as a reminder too that there's a meeting. So there's a method to my madness sometimes. So, let's take on the chore of approving the minutes
I
of
move
Friday,
that
February
the
1st.
February 1st meeting be approved.
Second.
Yes, Barbara,
I
discussion?
just would like Alan's, our last name
Oh.
fixed, because it's MC, capital R-A-E.
MC,
There's no extra C there.
all right. We will make that correction wherever it is needed.
What I put.
So,
One other correction, Madam.
yes,
Wait a minute, let's get one at a time, Alan. I gotta get your name right first. Where is it?
It's all over.
I don't know that you,
On B, look at B on the minutes.
It's here, right here.
No, that doesn't make
yeah.
any difference. That's,
no, that's the minutes that I sent out is the current minutes.
I have MC,
Right there.
MR.
Capital,
It's gonna be MC capital R, not MC capital C.
that's what I had, MC capital C.
But it's not.
I mean, MC capital R-A-E, that's
Right.
that's what I have on the 219 minutes.
You have it, but the minutes don't.
there were some changes made to the minutes, Bob, that,
I'm looking at the 2-1.
I don't think you have the same copy.
119.
Doesn't sound like it.
Bob, I can help you do a find replace. And it'll
I
move.
understand it, but I don't need to replace it, because it's there as Alan McCray is calling on each office to answer the question. MC capital R-A-E.
That's not
Correct.
the same, that's not even the same page as this.
Oh, boy.
It's not even the
I
same
sent
page.
you the minutes that were sent out, and there were some changes and corrections, modifications.
It just says COA members present. It does not say COA members present, so whatever there is different.
Well, that may be, but that's just my. But I do have it changed.
Okay.
All right. And it's in a couple of spaces, a couple of times throughout, but we will make the correction.
And Alan, what did you have?
Under that same paragraph B, the second paragraph, where it says Alan McRae reported he had drafted a warrant article and sent it yesterday to FinCom. I didn't.
Yeah, I got it. Okay, what do you want?
It's not FinCom, to the finance director.
Oh,
Send
I
it?
sent it to the finance director, not to FinCom.
okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
wait a minute. I wanted to see if it would be illegal. And send it to see if it would be acceptable.
Senate, it's the finance director. We'll make that correction. So we have
To the finance committee, okay,
finance director.
to the finance director.
Okay. All right. So, any other corrections?
I move the minutes be approved as corrected.
Right, do we have a second for that?
Second.
Thank you, Ann Lee. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Or abstentions? Okay, I think we have a unanimous. Thank you. We'll fix that, and I'll send it out home. Get them out. They have to go to Diane Curry once they're approved and corrected. So,
Okay.
Okay, are we
All right.
on B now?
thank you. We are on B, update from the COA board, and,
Oh, that's, okay. I put Chuck as A, so we need to,
all right, whatever. That's fine.
so is there feedback from the selectmen's meeting and/or from the space committee?
No, the feedback from the selectmen's meeting, it was about the town building and space needs analysis work group. That was the topic at the selectmen's meeting. And we covered that, and Chuck even covered it.
Okay, so we can take out that.
That was accomplished, that was done. You can't take it out because it was on the agenda, we need to report on it. But we're done with that. You could, Chuck's comments really covered a lot of that. And it actually clarified something for us too, that we all, I guess, didn't know a lot about. So that whole issue about how they purchased a building in the process. So, as he said, it was the Mass General Law. I didn't write the law down by number, but
I
that
think he said
dictates.
300.
Chapter 30.
Chapter 30? Thank you. Got it. Okay, so now we're moving on to, on Monday at our board meeting, we had an item, an agenda item of discussion of the DCU building, and because the board had not sat and talked about it, and Barbara was there, I think during that, you were there, but Nancy wasn't, I don't know, yeah, I think Barbara was the only one there Monday. And it was a board discussion, so I guess Liz kicked it off, you can probably make a comment or two about that. I just wanted to be sure that you all knew what was going on and what we talked about too. So, and Liz kicked it off, I introduced her, but reoriented the board as to our responsibilities as in the rules and regs and that we operate under, so.
Thank you.
There you go.
So since I came on board to the whole project late, I asked Marge if we could have a discussion as a board and with myself there to get myself fully caught up to speed and really go around the table and see what everyone's thoughts were on this particular building. Most of us had an opportunity to tour the building, and we had all various thoughts on it. So we shared different thoughts about the building as far as the need for the kitchen and things we've discussed here, the parking, the septic, and what our direction and the board's direction was going to be moving forward as we move forward, because this is just charging ahead and we're trying to keep up with what's going on. So we decided that our focus right now would really be on getting the need out there, making sure everyone knows that there is a need for this center. Not specifically stating DCU building just yet until we get all of the details finalized, but really putting it out there that there is a need, and we'd really focus there. I will say that we're getting closer to getting all of our questions answered, so when we're going out there and saying we need the senior center, and people say, well, what about the septic system? Because that does come up, we're going to have all of the answers to that, and we can confidently state, not a problem, and this is why. So that's the direction that we're taking right now. I told the board and Barbara that I'd put together a frequently asked question document that we could pass out. So this is my first draft of that, and I'll pass it around so people can give me some critique and feedback on that. I discussed Groton as a model, because Groton Senior Center with Kathy Schulp at the head has done a fantastic job of really covering all the bases and getting their new building, and I'm meeting with her next week to discuss further. But they put together, their board of, their COA board put together a great document of frequently asked questions that went out to all of the residents in the town from the board, that covered all the financial aspects, it covered the square footage aspects, it covered the traffic aspects. So I gave a copy of that to Marge, so in the future, when we have all of these details in line, that we can put them together to give everyone in the town. So there is no question that this particular building meets all of our needs. And that's,
Thank you. I mean, there was no, it was a discussion. We did not take a vote, per se, on anything, you know, but it was just a discussion about, okay, and trying to help make sure that all the board members were on the same page of things, too. So, it's Liz is, and our job as a board is to support the director. So, that's where we're at and what has happened, just so everybody knows. You can watch the tape of the meeting, too, you know, if you want to, but I thought it was important to make sure we communicated about that, so. And this is, I haven't seen the one that I saw a draft of this a little bit a while ago. I don't know if she's changed it or not, but at least it's.
changed it, yeah.
Yeah, it's a great start, because there's nothing like getting the data out into somebody's hands, so they have it. And we have it as board members, so we can respond appropriately too. So, and the reason that I was talking, I asked Chuck about the fact that the architect would be, wanted to be sure that they would be connecting with Liz, was that I think another piece as we go along in this process is going to be figuring out, okay, we have to be specific and say, these are the spaces that we need in a senior center, so that, I mean, people know we need a big multi-purpose room area. But as far as we need a room for, medical, podiatry, and things of that nature, we have to get that information out too. So that's something else we can be working on down the road. But that's why I wanted to be sure they were going to connect with you. So, and other groups.
Mentioning the Park and Rec and the town offices at all in that report?
no,
This is about a senior.
This is just us, yeah.
It's a
we're just
department,
focused on the senior center.
right, senior, elder and human services.
Yeah.
Both human services and the senior, because it's one package,
Yeah.
so, right now.
And I definitely think that's a good way to present it to the town and sell it to the town. You're not just getting a senior center, you're getting the whole total package. We're supporting the entire community here. It's not just this 38 to 40% of the population, which is huge, but we also do this other piece too. I think we can get more people on board.
I do have a suggestion, maybe we should include the veterans in that, because they are
That's a
for
great idea.
seniors and they would be for human services.
Yeah, that's a great idea. That's great.
It's a great-
Because it came from Nancy. And I saw your letter, Nancy. That was great on the Littleton Independent.
Liz, is this ready to go to the Independent?
I'd like some critique first.
Okay.
It's always good to have multiple sets of eyes on something.
So you were asking for critiques?
Sure.
People can stop by? How do you want to get it? Emails? In person?
Email, mark it up, leave it on my desk,
Okay,
tell me.
okay.
Joy from the Independent was going to be here today. She called right before I came down and said she couldn't make it, but I'll give her a call afterwards and fill her in. And she said she would welcome a call from anybody who wanted to give some more information as well.
Oh, yeah, please. We're trying to encourage getting more, and she seems to be willing to try to help us with getting more information out.
Have our email, our address?
Yes, oh, yes.
Yes.
Can we
We do.
email her?
No, yeah, she's asking for input.
Yep, I have it upstairs. I don't have it with me right now, but yeah.
I can give it to you now. It's in my brain.
Okay, go.
Doesn't have to be right now. Just-
It's J. Hosford, Hosford,
HOSFORD,
@wickedlocal.com.
wickedlocal.com. Okay.
Well, she may get more than she asked for.
Your email's
That's a good
public.
thing, that's a
It's
good thing.
public, it's
No,
out there.
It is, it's a good thing.
I also wanted to update, I did talk with Jim Greffey from the Board of Health about all of our septic concerns, to get some more information there. So we've kind of gone back and forth, and what he had told Alan he needed was for us to mark up the blueprint or the floor plan of what we thought the uses might be and to get that to him. So I sent this along to him, and I discussed with him on the phone. Since it's a large building and it's a multi-use building, we went through all of the various codes that there are, depending on what the usage is. So for office, for retail, for restaurant, quote-unquote restaurant, for student per classroom, each square foot, depending on the use of the room, is going to have a different gallon capacity. So it's 75 gallons per square foot in an office, or per office, or 50 gallons per retail space. So he really needs a very detailed idea of what the use is going to be to give us an exact answer. But he said he can look at the various regulations, because what our usage isn't clearly defined, but we closely fit with a church with a kitchen type of usage, which is 6 gallons per seat. So we're going to have to do a lot of math to try to figure out exactly, but he didn't want to give me an answer that might change down the road. He wanted to be specific. So he's going to look over my blueprint a little closer, and he'd really like to see what the architect puts together, and then we'll have a definite answer about that. But it's pretty complex depending on the square footage of each room in this office. Plus, he has to take into account the square footage of the tenant as well. So he didn't want to give me a definite answer based on just kind of a marked up outline. He needs more specific answers. But it is a very complex mathematic equation, essentially.
I could be wrong, but right now, and I think in the near future, we would never have more than 150, 200 maximum.
Yep, that's what I said. I gave him a rundown of the average use of the lunchroom. I took the month of January, between the month of January and just our lunchroom, it was either between 3 people to 19 people on the highest day. So I said Monday to Friday, 19 was the highest number just for the month of January. I gave him a sample size. For the large luncheons that we do that are catered, where we don't use the melamine plates that have to be washed, anything like that, we currently have 100. Ideally, we'd love to have upwards 125 or even more, because the need is so high. So I gave him all of that information, said the lunchroom wouldn't be used at the same time as the multi-purpose function room where we'd have the large luncheons. We wouldn't have a class happening at the same time. So it's complex, but he can figure it out, I'm sure. So he just needs a little bit more information and to calculate the square footage based on what the rooms are going to be used for.
So is there anything that these two groups can do to help you with that process? Or are you?
He was, as of this morning, going to put everything in writing and email it to me. And then once we get the architectural plans for the inside of the building, he'll look at it a little more closely, and then I can share that with everybody.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. But he definitely did not say, this is a no-go. He didn't, that was not the direction at all.
Just a little minor thing. About the septic system and how it's used. Barbara Cam actually said something to me that made sense, and that was during our lunches with 100 people, probably 10 people use the ladies' room or men's room. Less in the men's room, probably more in the ladies' room.
Did Barbara stand
So
there?
it isn't, it isn't 100 and whatever
Nice
people
guy.
Velvet rope.
using that while they're there.
She said she couldn't hear us, that's why she wasn't paying attention, and all the time she was counting people going in the men's room and the ladies' room, huh?
I have my hearing aids.
Well, you're the one that said it.
She lost
And I won't
hers.
tell you what you said.
Well, here,
But I thought that was interesting,
And I
because I
bet,
didn't
I
think
bet
of
that's
that.
true, you know?
yeah,
Yeah.
we're definitely going to be very conservative with the numbers because, I mean, we're not a fully functioning restaurant or anything of that
No.
sort. We're not washing tons of dishes.
And it
We're,
won't be in the beginning anyway. We won't have a
That's
kitchen
right.
in the beginning.
But wouldn't the
Make
powers
that
that
in the
be,
beginning louder.
wouldn't the powers that be just tell you, well, if you have 100 people in the room and only 10 of them go to the bathroom, that's fine, but you have to plan on all of them going to the bathroom?
I think so. I
Yeah.
think so. And then you have to factor in the people upstairs
Right.
and how many offices and staff are in the building. But Jim Graffier seems like a very smart guy, and I'm sure he'll tell us what we need to know.
Another general question for the room, because I'm not quite clear on this. When is the sewer coming up for a vote? Is it this May?
Yeah, oh, yes.
It's not this May.
Oh, I thought it was, isn't this,
May.
in May, isn't the sewer thing?
Yes, I
It is?
saw a proposed warrant article on that.
Yeah,
To pass the sewer?
yeah.
Okay, so if it passes and we buy the building, then it's fine. Or if it passes, well, if it passes and we buy the building, then we can be assured that sooner or later we get to use it. You know, if we buy the DCU, that we'll get to put in a kitchen because we'll have a sewer. Right?
Right.
Okay.
But if we wait until town meeting and it's passed, the price will go up.
We have to wait till town meeting anyway to buy the building. You can't buy it earlier.
I wonder if there's a way that we could,
But then my only question would be, would that Realtor take it off the market the next morning after the sewer was passed? Would they take it off the market
Well, yeah.
and then put it back on?
would have to be talked to seriously, that we're interested. I mean,
Well, you-
seriously
But
interested.
we couldn't even,
Can't
well,
do
we'd be on the ballot for somewhere in the evening to approve, maybe not the DCU, but at least the money, right?
Yes.
that. That's what the plan is, yeah.
So
Yeah,
it sounds,
the chances are that if it passed, it wouldn't be functional for 3 years or more.
But
So
it
I
had-
don't think we would have to worry about the owner holding onto the building, waiting to get a higher price 2 or 3 years from now. So
yeah.
Unless he doesn't care.
Because it's gonna take, you know, even if the sewer passed, which I'm not convinced it will,
Oh,
but if it did, it takes a long time to build something like that, even abbreviated, even
That's
though it's
true.
not going all over the whole town, so.
Right.
And this is not the total, is this the last time it would be on a warrant, the sewer project? Is this just,
No, if it gets turned
It's-
down, they can play around with it and come back. Remember, the police station came back 5 or 6 times before the town
Yeah.
finally approved and built the station, so they can keep
Yeah.
coming back, and I suspect they will.
but if it's voted on positive, will it continue? Are there more sections of this that still need to be voted on if it's passed this time?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
okay. Wow. Okay, you all set?
I'm set.
Okay,
I just wish we already had the sewer.
I know, that would
That'd make it a
simplify.
little easier.
Simplify things, wouldn't it, huh?
Yeah, but there's no reason to suspect yet that what's there
all
currently
right.
for a sewer or for a
Septic.
septic system will not be compatible with our use. Because frankly, we don't generate a lot of cooking and waste out of the kitchen that we have now, so.
No,
Yeah,
I'm hopeful that it could be
And
managed.
do we actually know what the septic system will carry, for lack of a better word, at the DCO? How big is it?
1,500 gallons? 1,500 gallons.
That's it?
Yeah.
That sounds really small.
My house is that much.
15,000?
15,000 maybe?
15,000 maybe? It was 15 something.
15,000.
15,000.
What's this?
That's
The
usually-
church is talking, on the common is
15,000
talking
or
20,000.
1,500? 15,000 gallons.
Not money, not money.
it has
We're
to have
talking
five.
gallons of
Oh, gallons,
sewage.
oh.
Gallons, it has to have a pipe.
No,
I
I
wrote
don't
down
know.
1,500.
Yeah.
I definitely
Maybe-
could have
maybe
missed
we
a
could
zero
find out
I don't
when
know
he
what
just
the
told me.
capacity is. I assume that we could find out from the building department.
Yeah, maybe that'd be a good idea
There's
just to
got to
find
be an
out what's,
as-built up there.
yeah. Has there actually been anybody that said, no, you can't have a kitchen?
Oh,
No,
no.
no. Jim Graffey just said we would need to install an internal and an external grease trap.
Yeah, that's the only thing we know of right now.
But maybe
And
the
if
septic
we have a
system-
kitchen, even if our septic system there is adequate, we still have to put a grease trap in.
Yeah, but I guess what I'm saying is if the system is big enough to be able to put a kitchen in, that would be good to find out, wouldn't it? I mean, maybe the system's already big enough?
That's
Well,
what I'm
that's what we're
saying.
trying to find out.
That's what we're working on.
That's what they're working, Liz is working on.
Well, it just means walking upstairs and find out.
Well, we can
Oh,
find out
this,
the size, but it
it's
won't tell us.
not as easy as walking upstairs.
No.
This has been back and forth.
We still have to use the usage calculations to find out if that is adequate.
All right.
No, I understand, but
And
we
that's
would
what
like
you're
to know
talking
the-
about,
the-
Liz?
Oh, sure.
Usage?
Can you
Yeah,
call them?
usage.
No, Liz has been dealing with Jim. That's,
Okay.
she's the one, she's been talking to him and
Well,
getting all the
This would
information.
be the building department upstairs.
Oh.
They've got-
Oh, sorry.
They have the as-built, when they built the building, they had to provide all the plans. They would
Oh.
know how big the septic system is. Is it designed for how many gallons per day?
Right.
Just like you know about your.
Oh,
And we might be able to find out in 2 minutes.
Might. Alan should be already
Yeah.
walking.
They keep looking at you.
Because we could stop worrying about it if we.
Yeah. Well, okay.
1,500 gallons. The current septic system is designed for 1,500 gallons of sewage flow a day.
1,500.
That's the same as a house.
No,
Uh,
house of a size of
1,500 gallons of sewage flow per day. As I mentioned, this flow would allow for a kitchen to be installed in the facility. If you install a kitchen, you would need to modify the existing system to include an external grease trap.
Oh. Did you just say that the kitchen
This
is
just came
big
through
enough
at
for a kitchen?
206. I'm sorry?
Did you just say now that it was big enough for a kitchen?
Yeah. Flow would allow for a kitchen to be installed in the facility. Restaurant use requires a minimum system of 1,000 gallons a day.
Oh.
Don't need the sewer plant.
No.
That's a good thing.
Who's over there telling you this?
This is Jim Gareffi.
Aha!
Okay, everybody write that down.
Yeah.
I said it all along.
So a kitchen is.
This is a very long email where he specifies gallons per every different type of square foot that we would use. So
Okay.
I'll share this information with everyone after.
All right.
Sorry, that's rude of me.
Oh, so
Hey.
that's one thing that came off the list. Yeah. Kitchen can go in. Yeah.
A kitchen can go in and we could still use that building if the sewer didn't,
Yes.
which is a good thing to know.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right, yeah. This is a great day.
That's all Jim Gareffi's work.
Dust.
Yeah.
We'll find out all the information. It will fit all our needs
All our needs.
exactly.
Yep.
And they'll sell it to somebody else.
No way. No way. Not gonna happen.
We don't want that to
Bite
happen.
your tongue, Alan.
All right. So, we've kind of segued into update from the Friends, so we're just kind of generalizing here. If you have other, just go for it. If anybody has any other information they want to share, I don't
have
think.
an update, but I'll do with that in D, because mine is in D.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
It's D, mine is in D,
we're getting to it.
yeah.
We're getting to it.
Right.
So, I don't know
Going
if
to
this, if I'm cutting off, I think we can just continue on with our discussion. I think we're doing some great
Well,
things.
The only thing I have to say is, of course, we discuss it amongst each other and at our board meeting and whenever we can with anyone else,
What I left you,
as you know, and
I left you in.
we're all in favor
I
of
gave
doing
mine
this.
away.
And mainly because of the fact that we've been trying for so many years probably before you were born. We were trying this. But anyway, so it came up that this looks good for us. And the cons truly are fixable. And we just found out about one. We're working on the parking. And I know Patty's concern is the street, feeling it's a dangerous area, but I cannot agree because of the fact that they do want to do a village type down there, and it would mean that people would be coming and going all the time. Plus the fact we go and come from there all the time anyway, with all the banks and Donlands and Dunkin' Donuts and Aubuchon's and whatever's there. We're in and out of that street all the time. And when the traffic starts coming really heavy, we probably would be out of there by then, and if we aren't, then we probably would be a little later, that when they're gone. It happens between a certain amount of time. Anyway, those are the things that seem to be what's important right now. But otherwise, space needs, of course. You just have to come here and visit the COA to see what space is, what little
Or isn't.
space is.
Or
And we, that place has enough that we can grow, because we ask for 16,000 and that has 20. So we have growth if we need it. We haven't talked about this. I do want to bring it up that I would never, never agree to a community center there with us. Or I can't say that I think Park and Rec should be with us either. Some people probably feel differently, but I do not, because at our luncheon on Wednesday, I was thinking how nice it would have been if the room had been set up forever, like we could leave the room as a dining area, and that there was a lot of exercise equipment we have to cover
Oh, it's
under
awful.
the tables, so it doesn't look like it's trashy. There was a lot more behind the podium that was going to be used Saturday, I think, but it was already there and it was piled up as high as the ceiling and taking up a good portion of the wall. And I thought, this is not a dream dining area, because we have to cover things and move things so that it doesn't look like we're going to exercise right after we eat. So this is what bothers me every time I'm in the room planning for something, some activity to be there. So I just want to say that once and for all. Probably won't say it again, but that's the way I feel about that subject.
say it
Barbara, are
again.
you suggesting that whatever building we get will have a separate room for a dining room for 150 to
Yes.
200 people and a separate room for,
Exercise.
It can,
Exercise?
Bob. It is so
Okay.
beautiful, really,
All right.
and there is a room that I see as the dining area. Plus, again, Barbara Cam said, there was a time when men used to come into the diner and play cards around 10 o'clock in the morning, and they would stay for lunch. You got them to stay for lunch. I see that as a positive thing over there, or in a better senior center, because, if that was set up, if they could come in for coffee and donuts after a certain, maybe 9:30 or something, and they want to stay and play cards or just chit-chat like we women do, the men need to do that, then it would be so perfect. And yes, there is plenty of space for exercise in
okay.
different areas. This could be separate, where it is always, always the dining area, and always a time that it could be open for what I said, or lunch, or parties, all that.
Come in and join us.
Come,
So,
You look like you're going skiing.
anyway, that's part of what I have to say, but our board definitely is supporting.
I agree.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody agree?
Well, I just want to add to that, is that, I don't know if you've been to the Acton Center or not. I went through about a year ago. There was a large kitchen, but right next to the kitchen, well, there was cows and whatnot, there was a whole area set up at tables.
Yeah.
There was a group of ladies doing something, the other guys playing cards and so forth.
See?
And there was activities going on.
Yeah.
There's still plenty more room, open tables, but
Yeah.
the tables were there.
Well, a lot of the senior centers do have the tables set up. You don't have
Right.
to be setting up
Yeah.
tables, taking them down like we do here.
That's the thing, because you have to, we had poor Jim taking down chairs and tables the other day, and the man just got out of the hospital.
Right.
So we don't need that kind of thing.
No, and I
Yeah.
think we probably all agree on that concept.
Yeah, just to clarify, when I'm talking about like an elder and human service building, I'm not talking about including parks and rec at the DCU building. That would never fit, that wouldn't work.
Yeah, good.
Well,
And
they've
in-
never indicated anything that they wanted to
Nope.
be in with us anyway.
Not
They have
DC
the
building.
tennis court, that the town owns that property. They're probably happy where they are.
They could use more space too, but that's a whole separate other issue.
Yes.
But definitely in marking up the floor plans, there is room to have the large multipurpose function room in addition to your sitting area, in addition to your exercise room. There is space for that and there's space for growth.
Yeah, I can picture it.
Yeah.
I've pictured the whole thing walking through it. So, but if you haven't been there, or you can't picture things, then you probably wouldn't. So it's better that you have it put out there for people to understand there is room for all the things you talked about.
And I think we're gonna have to, part of our education effort focus is gonna be trying to get that kind of a concept and out there too, a vision for them to be
Yeah.
able to visualize,
Yeah,
But, so, right now, we're dealing with the facts, and the data, but we need to get that other piece.
Yep.
That'll be coming.
Yeah, every day we get closer, we get more answers.
Yeah,
and-
yeah.
Which is good.
It is good.
Every
So-
bit, every
We
bit
do
of
have-
information that we get brings us closer to being ready.
Right,
to
and
move
being
forward.
informed ourselves,
Yeah.
so.
This is very important. The deadline for the warrant is not what we thought it was.
No, it's not.
It's March 20th at noontime.
Oh, and not the 29th.
No.
Right.
And we just have a nice guest that walked in. So, welcome, Anthony. You look like you're leaving, you thought you were gonna sneak out the door here, huh? And you didn't know we were meeting?
Dream about leaving until I came and see the people and women.
Thank you.
You look nice and relaxed.
You do.
Very.
Oh. Do you have any blessings here for us or anything you would like to add to we're having a great conversation here about this, I think, today. We've learned some good things.
Hoping to come around there, but I was tied up upstairs, unfortunately.
I wonder why.
The good piece of information that we got with the discussion going on, Liz quickly got on her magic machine, and we found that the sewer, the septic system existing is sufficient for a kitchen and what we want to do.
At the
So that
DCU.
is a big,
Huge, big area, yeah.
You talked to Jim Graff?
Yeah. Yep, that's where the information came from.
All right.
Yep, I think he still wants to try to factor in all the other uses of the building that might be happening at the same time, but he said the kitchen could work.
Oh, okay.
It's good news.
That's a big, huge thing. Yes, Sharon?
Okay, so last 2 weeks ago, I had made a proposal that I would call everyone individually
Oh,
and
yeah.
speak to them.
You call who?
I did
Call
call
who?
Everybody.
all the participants of our programs.
Right.
And unfortunately, I found out that I couldn't do that because that was infringing on their privacy. So I just go up to my friends that I know and talk to them. But also, in doing such a thing, and in going to the selectmen's meeting, I know I'm going backtrack a little bit on feedback from the selectmen's meeting,
No, that's fine.
but to see their enthusiasm and their support of us, I took it upon myself personally, not with the board's approval or not signing the board's name, but myself personally to thank them all individually. I did write down some quotes that they stated. you know, so it's on TV and it's on paper that, you know, they're pushing forward for us, and I appreciate every step of the way.
Great,
Yeah.
thank you. And there's plenty of ways, I think, that we can reach people, so that, yeah, that was unfortunate, because
I
you're
know.
highly motivated, but
Me.
This saved her a lot of work.
it did.
We're
we'll
putting
get-
her to work other ways.
We'll
I like
get
to
people.
talk on the phone.
Does Alan have any more updates for us?
Do you have any
Alan?
more updates?
No, I've just got a couple of comments I'd like to make.
Go for it.
All right, options. People keep talking about, we need to see what our options are. Well, folks, there aren't any options. We have an opportunity to get a senior center. We have 255 Great Road, which is for sale. The money is in the bank to buy it. We need the approval of the selectmen, but the money is there. The other option, none that I know of, we have the Space Needs Committee, we're talking about building out a campus that incorporates town offices, a senior center, park and rec, TV studio,
Library.
but that's not gonna be 20,000 square feet for all of those people. You're back to sharing again. You're back to having park and rec creep as it goes every day. And it's not just those people are in there using it, it's a community center, which means the Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts, the church groups, anybody in the community. So you're sharing it not only with other town offices, you're gonna share it with all the community. That's the only other option that I'm aware of. So let's get off to what are our other options.
Has anybody said that if you build a senior center, you gotta put somebody else in it too? Anybody say that?
It
yet.
won't be a senior center.
There is,
Well, you gotta remember the human services duties in
nobody
the
is
department,
saying
that's
no.
all,
We're-
just that.
if we build a senior center, it's gonna be a senior center.
And human services?
And
Yeah,
human
that's-
services.
Yeah.
We talk about the senior center, we're all talking
Aware
about
of
human
what that
services. But that's just servicing. That's not all this community people
Right.
that come for human services, service, are then gonna go in and play volleyball. No, they come in, they do their business, they go home. The center is for the council of aging. So we talk about options, there are no other options. Now, 255 Great Road may go away, but some other, with the RFP, some other building may show up. The only other thing we could hope to do at some point is to build a new building. And that is, now we're talking 2, 3, 4 times the amount of money
Right.
here. So whether we can get 255 Great Road or not depends on whether someone sells it, 1, and 2, that we convince the selectmen to put the money up. I don't see any other options to have what we would like to have. If we get the shared space with a community center, that's a long way down the road, and it will certainly not be adequate for what we want to do.
No, will
In
it
fact,
be
the
as
Friends of the
cost-effective?
Council on Aging incorporated 29 years ago, and the Council on Aging was before us, so the Council on Aging is at least 30 years old. So for 30 years, we've been looking for another senior for a senior center, and there have been no options over all that period of time. There have been nothing. So I agree with Alan.
So the reason I'm so emphatic about that is, let's don't take our eye off the ball and say, well, there are other, or thinking that there are other options out there. Not in any near term at all, and long term has not been very productive in the last 30 years. The next Board of Selectmen, and there will be new selectmen coming on, could very well not think that this is a priority. That something else, that the sewer is a priority, or something else is a priority. Right now, you have the majority of the Board of Selectmen
Right.
on board with this project. So don't lose sight of what we're trying to do.
I don't think anybody is. I don't think so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
And I think
Alan.
everyone should send the selectmen a thank you note. And then they're gonna be happy with us.
I'll send it to those who are running this year.
Nancy had something that you wanted.
Nancy did?
Did you have something you were gonna bring?
Yes, when Marge moves
Yeah,
forward.
when we move along, should we get to that point. So, I didn't want to ignore Anthony's either, so, okay. All right, thank you, Ellen. Well said. I think, I don't think any of us are really, I mean, we all realize the difference between a freestanding new building and the $2 or $3 million we're talking about, you know, here. There is quite a difference in price, so if it can work, you know, it sounds like we're moving strongly in that direction and getting answers to the questions. so.
As long as we all stay strong.
That's true, that is true.
And we all stay committed to one another
Yeah.
and working together as a team.
That's right.
Right.
And that's
think
why
that's
we're
really
doing,
important.
that's why we're having these meetings, so.
Right.
Okay. We ready? Can I move on to Nancy because I know she's anxious? But,
On your
well, wait a
minute,
minute, just let me introduce you a little, only because I want to apologize to the board because I never got this out. Nancy has a letter that she, and let me just set the prep, so they understand why we're bringing it up here.
that's part of D.
I'm down to D.
Okay.
She has she found out that the electric light department will incorporate a flyer and get it out to all the residences in town, and businesses, I guess.
I'm
Yes.
sorry, they're not doing that.
They're not?
No.
Oh,
That's what I wanted to talk to you guys about.
oh, I'm sorry.
All
So
right.
just
Cancel.
introduce her.
Cancel what I just said.
Introduce her.
So Nancy wrote this lovely letter.
Yes, she did. Nancy has a wonderful letter here. The other.
And we'll let her take it from there.
Yes, well, the only thing I want to say is that if it is to be signed by or involved with the COA, and it says that you're signing it, Bill, just the
I
Friends.
just signed it to give you an example that, you know, the
Okay.
Friends is there. But if the COA.
Go ahead.
The COA would be there also if you approved it,
Right.
approved it.
If we,
Yeah. So in your last, our last board meeting, it was suggested that someone contact, you know, the Light and Water Department and let the public know. As you know, I did, and I got approval, and it was free, and then they called me. And there was a miscommunication. Their manager, who is great, he is new, and he just didn't explain, what he thought he explained is he thought I knew what he was saying. This, if it was approved, would go to the back of their bill. The back of their bill,
That nobody
that
turns
nobody
over.
reads.
I got it.
To do it separate, it would cost $200-300 to put in their mailing, but it would not go to the people who pay their bills online.
You're right.
And there is a good portion of those who do. So I thanked them. I said I would get back to them once I had more information. And I don't see how we can use them as I was hoping. And I apologize because they did try. I mean, they felt so bad of the miscommunication. Well, I was hoping for the best, so I probably got it all messed up. You're going to do it for free? And I even mentioned that last year they charged us, so it was, okay. So anyway, I'd like you to review this and let me know if you as a board approve this, but it does say this DCU building in it. If you want me to take out the DCU building and say, as Alan was saying, a building, and I could put reference to, there is one in town that looks like it might meet the requirements. But with Liz doing this, her questions, I thought this would be great if we could finally approve this, finally, get a final copy. We could do this, and the Friends would pay for a town mailing. I haven't asked the board yet.
Nancy, you're precious. I haven't asked the board yet.
Nothing like putting them on the
I
spot.
don't think, we can't ask, really, we can't say hopefully for this
So-
project, can we really? We're not supposed
Putting
to.
Did I
it in the
confuse you royally?
broadcast.
No, the only problem I have is somewhere I thought I heard somebody in this building say who works here, okay, that people are in this building in, like COA board, in particular Liz, cannot come out and say,
Yes, Liz cannot. Liz,
but you have her name on here,
no, I don't.
the director.
You do.
Where you do, the director.
Just say we're working together.
Oh, yeah, but that's, she's not assigning it, though.
No, she's just saying that we're all working together.
Yeah. Well, we are. It's on television. We are working together.
I'd run that by the town clerk before.
We can do that.
Well, and I
That's
think,
easy enough.
my question only is,
Just
I
don't want to
know,
get in trouble over it.
well, the piece that might cause a problem in my mind is that it says, you know, it's important you go to town meeting to vote. That's fine, but to say, and hopefully for this project, the board may have problems, might have difficulty with that statement, because we're not supposed to be asking
We're
or
not supposed to be
indicating.
doing that either.
Right, anything about voting, correct, Anthony, if I'm not mistaken?
I'm sorry, say it again. You asked
The
me the
whole
question.
Well, I'm sorry, because you don't even have the letter, but it says in this letter
No.
that it's important that you go to town meeting to vote, and hopefully for this project. Now, the Friends can go out and advocate and say, hopefully for this project. I'm a little leery about the COA board,
All right, then I can take that out.
you know, saying,
Support for the seniors.
just, yeah, something like that, nothing about voting, yes, yeah, that, it's just, that could cause a problem, I think, if we're not sensitive
I
to it.
understand, but this is a letter from the Friends of the Council on Aging.
And, sorry, Alan. If they approve it, it will be from them also.
It's rapidly granted.
So they don't have to approve it.
No,
Just us.
no, we don't. It can, but, you know, you can say up there that we are working together, but we don't have to vote to approve it and say it's from you,
It comes
us.
from the Friends of the Council on Aging is a nonprofit organization, it doesn't have, they can say whatever they want to say.
Okay, all right.
I have a question. Where is it on this? Because I am not finding what you're saying.
Right here.
Oh, the
The
bolded.
bold print.
It is very important.
Yes,
Ay,
Marie.
ay, ay.
My idea at first was to put it in the broadcaster, but that's no good because that would
Yeah.
only cover seniors. And we wanted to cover all ages.
And I don't think you can because it's, no, we're doing a funding letter at the same time. I'm sorry, so that's different.
But
My
you're
version
saying-
is on the front page.
You're saying the Friends would pay for a sending to the entire,
If the board
Al?
says so. I haven't asked the board yet.
Yeah, wait for next
If
week.
the Friends Board say it's okay.
Can I ask a question also? If the Wilton Light and Water Department is mailing, you could put just a top part of this letter, and they send it out with all their bills. Why can't we just think, it wouldn't cost us anything, and some people would see it.
In their little blurb in the back, community, notes, we could put a little blurb in there about this. So, but it's maybe 3 or 4 sentences. That's about it.
Is that all they?
I looked at it this morning and community bulletin, that's what it's called.
Yeah, it's not very much space.
We're figuring out ways to get the attention of the whole town.
Right, right, that's right, and this
So,
is a good way, I just.
Every day we try to come up with
A
some
new idea.
Well, yeah, and no, and it's like getting the fact sheet out, you're right, you know, so, yeah. Hi, Diane.
Putting it in the newspapers is no good because not everybody gets them.
Right.
But I think we have to, sorry, Marge, through you
But
to
we-
the
that's fine.
boards, through,
Yeah.
to the collective boards. I think that we need to try as many venues as possible.
Yes.
So if only some people see the Littleton Independent, and only some people see the broadcaster, and only some people see the Light and Water Department bill, that's a lot of people.
And the
The
Sun.
more information that we can get out, the more we can explain why we need a senior center, why it's so important, I think is where we need to be focused on. whether it's point A or point B, at the end of the day, we'll get there. But right now, we need to get this information out. So I think any place we can get it out is a good thing.
It is, and remember, different people watch these
Exactly.
things, plus the fact that it's always put here. So if they read it, and then later, one of us or somebody else stops by and says, what do you think of the senior center? They know it is there. Something
I
we're
agree.
doing.
I think we should put it in as many places as we can possibly get the information, because it's important that people know why we are working as hard as we are working to get the information out.
So, okay, we need some specific, Nancy's got the letter here, we've got the fact sheet, still pending, I mean, they're not finalized yet, but.
I think Nancy's comment, I'm sorry, Marge, I didn't
No,
mean
go
to
ahead.
interrupt you. I think Nancy's comment is a good one, though. Recently, we became aware that a building is up for sale, and just take all the rest of that out. That way, we don't box ourselves into a corner in case that doesn't work. I don't know how other
Well,
people feel about
I
that.
don't know, what would be the drawback to, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, I mean,
We could just leave this letter from the Friends,
right.
our letter from myself and the board, and put them together.
Okay,
Why don't we do that?
all right.
So
That would
leave
be
that
easier.
as a friend's letter and not a combined letter.
Yes,
And I'll check with Diane Corey to see if I can put director in the first sentence.
Yeah, that should be fine, though.
it just says we're working together, right, which is true, we are.
Yeah.
Doesn't say anything
Need
about,
my bag?
we're saying get out and vote or anything, it's just that we're working together. I would think, isn't that okay, Anthony, wouldn't you think?
I think so.
Yeah, so, I mean. I
We can double check.
We can double check too with Diane, so, or somebody, anyway. But,
I know one way you can get around it.
what's that?
The whole first paragraph could stay. And in the second paragraph, instead of saying recently we became aware, just say recently the Friends became aware. And in the next sentence, or next place down here, it says, well, we really appreciate any help. You say, the Friends really appreciate any help. And that way, the director or the COA isn't spoken of, other than the fact that we're working together to try and help each
But
other
on
out.
TV, they know that we're all in agreement.
But it's what you can say.
But that's what you can say in the, and that's okay, that everybody needs to know that we're working together and we are.
But not in a letter?
I think the letter's fine.
We can run it by Diane.
We'll get an answer.
Yeah, we'll just get an answer for it, so, and,
All right.
so it gets done.
Okay.
Because we all agree, we need to have something, and we need many more things getting out to people with information, so.
You say the
Right.
Friends, like David said, and then where, the next part where he said the Friends again, we wouldn't say that. We would say, we are happy to work together with the Council on Aging.
That's what the first sentence says.
Well, can't we
We'll,
move it down or something?
Well, some of them say leave it as is. I'm going to check with Diane Corey, and
Okay.
then we'll find out. But Dave made a good point,
okay,
as usual.
It's just, every once in a while, somebody comes by and says, you can't say that, or you can't do this, and you're going, oh, why not? I'm just talking, can't I say that? No, I'm sorry, you can't.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, let's be careful now, so we don't have somebody come
Right.
downstairs and say, you shouldn't have said
I'll
that.
blame Marge.
thank you.
Run it by somebody who says, yeah, that's okay.
Wait a minute,
Marge always takes the
Chuck
heat.
DeCosta's the one that said he had broad shoulders.
I'll blame Barbara Camp.
Oh, okay.
She's got a wife. Gosh.
All right, okay, but Nancy's put a tremendous amount of work into this, and
This is vision.
7.
It's now 8.
She's worked on it, it's been out there, and so, we have to try to fix it so that it's done, right? So she's not going bonkers over it, so she's put a lot of effort into it. So, and thank you. We appreciate it, because it has to be a shared effort, and, as Liz's fact sheet, which, Anthony, you have a copy of that too?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, this is a beginning of it, so,
What I liked about what I wrote is, besides the other stuff, is the sentence that says, "There are many departments involved and many tests that are taking place to be sure that the site is worthy of a purchase." That I really like, that explains it all.
Puts it all in perspective.
I know, it's so good.
I agree that it's a good statement, but I'm not sure that people will understand what that means.
Oh, I'm sure they
Oh,
will.
yeah.
When they're talking about money, yeah.
Yeah.
okay. All right. Have we covered D? And we have some plans, we all agree that we need to be getting information out and really fast, because we only have a month, essentially, before, well, no, we have more than that. We have time to educate the public more, that has nothing to do with the warrant deadline, really. The education could go on right up to before town meeting. So, but we need to be working on it and start getting more and more information out.
Okay.
And part of it would be, the conceptualization of how the space, if we do use the DCU building, might be utilized, so people understand the complexities of, I don't think the average person understands what kind of space seniors need. That they need a space for podiatry and massage that's private, and it has a sink, and, da-da-da-da-da. So we need to start working on getting that concept out there too, that information out, so they can visualize it. All right. Do we have any other business to come before the board today? And we need to decide when we're going to meet again.
Next meeting,
I just said,
That's what she just said.
I just said that, so.
You just can't.
Okay. Thoughts? 2 weeks? 2 weeks for the next meeting? 1 week? 2 weeks?
I think we could probably go 2 weeks, only because right now, until we get some more answers, I don't think there's anything else that we need to do.
That would be March 1st, 2 weeks from today.
Time is
Okay with
going
me,
quickly.
as long as we're sure that we get that warrant done on time, now that it's moved
Where are we
to
with
the
that?
20th.
What do we need for the warrant?
We need the wording.
Huh?
Did you say March 1st,
I
1:30?
don't, I think we're getting help with that. I don't think we personally,
I think
two
Al
groups.
already wrote something.
I don't think we're writing the warrant. It would be the selectmen, wouldn't it, Anthony?
We have the signatures, oh, we need to-
One at a time, please.
Let Anthony answer this question, please, about the warrant and who would help prepare it.
At the last joint meeting with FinCom and Board of Selectmen, the school committee was there as well. They discussed it, they're having another meeting on the 25th of February. We have another joint meeting scheduled, and I'm sure this topic will be brought up. And what actually they want to try to do, I don't know how it's going to be crafted, if it's just reserve money, and then, I think I heard them say something about holding money or allocating them
Allocating.
aside for it, even if we not ready to purchase something or lease something or whatever, at least the money will be there, and that's kind of step one, so I don't know what both of those committees have decided, but that was the last talks that they were having.
So it's the selectmen and FinCom or the
FinCom, yeah.
FinCom? Okay, I want to make sure I had the two groups right. Okay,
That next meeting is here.
and I don't know if, I have to check about the
But it would be-
availability of the room, but I will try to get this room,
Okay.
so.
So the next meeting would be Friday, March 1st.
Yes.
The meeting, our next meeting would be March 1st.
Yeah.
But what were you talking about, March 6th?
First you gave the meeting for, the meeting for to get on the warrant. It was like March 20,
March 20th.
but then didn't he say it had been brought up to March 6th?
No.
No, it was the 29th, and it moved up to the 20th.
Okay.
Or we thought it was the 29th, but it is in fact the 20th.
I'll, send a message to Liz, or I can even I'll just call Diane and see if we can, huh?
To do what?
To get the room
Oh, yeah.
on March 1st. And then we'll get the word out to you in plenty of time, if we have this room, so.
And I will talk to her about having the director's name in the first sentence, and we won't worry about putting you as part of, you know.
Right, you can, yeah, that's fine. I think, and we are working together, and that's a true statement, so I don't, it might just be easier. We don't have any gray areas, you know, that cause a problem, that's
When
all.
the meeting first started, Liz mentioned the kitchen, parking, and the septic.
Be in this room?
The kitchen and the parking is taken care of, kitchen and the septic is taken care of for now. What about the parking? Is that still an issue?
I don't think so.
It is what it is, isn't
Well,
it?
that's, she mentioned there
Yeah.
were three concerns.
Yep. Yeah, well, there's 72 parking spaces, 15 are reserved for the tenants.
Oh, they are?
Yeah. And then, but there is that additional public parking space in the dealership lot.
Okay.
Marge? If it did come that we did purchase the DCU building for it, is there, do we need to keep the tenant? Or could we give the tenant 6 months to find a new place?
They
You
have a
know,
lease.
to-
They have a lease, that's the understanding.
5 years.
3
I
years.
think it's another 3 years.
3 years.
3 years, and how far are they into the 3-year
Well, They
lease?
have another 3 years.
Oh, they have another 3 years.
But I understand there is potential that, I've heard, I've heard somewhere along the line, somebody say something about it's possible that they might be able to move
Relocate.
and relocate.
And take over the senior center.
I'm sure.
We have 2 big rooms.
I don't know if you can fit 15.
Parking spaces.
It would be costly to move a tenant out of that building.
It would.
You'd have to really, they'd have to find adequate space, they'd be looking for us to, if there was an
But you
increase
know-
in cost, to cover the additional costs, pay the moving expenses, and all the other expenses that come with it, so it would be pretty costly.
Yes, but don't they have to pay us rent if we own the building?
Yep.
So you're getting
Yeah.
money there, too.
And you know what? There's going to be plenty of space. I mean, before the space is totally, you know, I mean, in the beginning, we still not up to that huge number of seniors that are projected in the year 2030 or 35. So, you know, it shouldn't be a huge handicap if they're there, I don't think, for a while. You know,
Maybe,
they don't take up a huge amount of space on the
It's
second floor,
taken us quite a while to get the building set up. so-
you
They're
know.
about 4,000 to 5,000 square feet they occupy.
Is that, yeah.
Building is just shy of 20,000.
Right.
19 and change.
So we should have plenty of space with
Maybe,
them.
maybe we could, because if they were tenants for us, we could say, we need these spaces for seniors, and you can have that space over there, not the one in front of the door.
But the only time we really need all that space is when we have our lunches.
Big things.
That's the only time. The other time is buses that bring them in, and then they take them away. So whoever uses it, it's not everybody that has a car, so.
Oh, so you mean as far as parking space?
Right.
Yeah. But in 2035, we're going to have so many programs and activities happening at the same time.
It's at 2035.
I'll still be here.
You will, but
We're
we
gonna
aren't.
have a booming center in 2035, so we need those parking spots.
I don't think so.
Tell
That's our
somebody else
vision.
who's younger.
All right.
But you know, we're not going to be having the kitchen in right away, so it'll take some time.
It's a good point, yeah.
It's gonna work.
It's going to work.
It's gonna work.
And we're a
Everybody be
team.
positive.
We're
It's
a
going to
team.
work.
Yes. Team.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor to adjourn? Patty, okay? Okay, and we're good to go. Thank you all.
2:57.
I have 2:58.